Welcome to part 21 of Wake Up, Sleeper, Wake Up. And I know this is getting up there in parts, but that's okay. Because they're only the little shorts. You can come to my page and watch them at any time, um, just by coming into my profile or going to my YouTube. It takes a little longer to upload them on YouTube, so I'm a little backed up over there, but eventually these will all be on both platforms. And so and Jesus said that my word would stand. But anyways, this is part 21 of Wake Up, Sleeper, Wake Up. December the 20th of 2022. It's 6:32 a.m.
We've seen so many.
I want to get back into this footage. I don't know why this little section here has to be included, but I'm sure you'll figure it out.
Images from around the world of people living in poverty, starving, and even forced out of their homes because of crises.
Oh, yeah, the famine that y'all don't think's upon us. Okay.
Is happening in their home countries. According to the International Rescue Committee, in 2014, the number of people in humanitarian need was 81 million. Next year, it's expected to hit 339 million people. The IRC keeps track of.
But y'all don't think that there's any famine going on. See how big that humanitarian need worldwide is jumping into 2023? Yeah, it's increased by millions, not just by a few, by millions.
Countries that it says shows the greatest risk of a new humanitarian emergency.
Look at the graphic.
We're joined now by David Miliband, the IRC's president and CEO.
I really want you to get a good look at that graphic.
According to the International Rescue Committee, in 2014, the number of people in humanitarian need was 81 million. Next year, it's expected to hit 339 million people. The IRC keeps track of countries that it says shows the greatest risk of a new humanitarian emergency. We're joined now by David Miliband, the IRC's president and CEO. Well, such an important topic. Let's start out with the watch list, how you decide which countries end up on it.
So the watch list that we produce every year is based on 67 different data sources, but also critically the intelligence of our 220 field sites in 40 countries around the world that are either in conflict, countries Syria, Somalia, Ethiopia, or countries that are harboring, sheltering people who are refugees from conflict. And we take that quantitative data and the qualitative data and then produce this watch list, which this year has ranked Somalia at the top, Ethiopia, Afghanistan, Democratic Republic of Congo, Yemen. Those are the key countries at the top of the list. But here's the thing that really strikes me. Of that 20 countries on the watch list, they account for 90% of all the humanitarian need in the world.
You also talked about the accelerators. What are those?
The three accelerators that we see in our work are, first of all, conflict. That's the biggest driver of crisis today. There are 54 civil wars within states going on around the world, plus, of course, the Ukraine conflict. Those wars create humanitarian devastation. The second is the climate crisis, which is not the crisis of our children or the crisis of our grandchildren. It's today's crisis. And in countries like the US, of course, we're quite well protected. The infrastructure is resilient. But in countries like Yemen or Somalia or Ethiopia, Pakistan recently with the floods.
I'm sorry, but the hungry people here in the US would disagree. I'm quite sure that those that are in poverty here in the U.S. would disagree. Those that are living in tents and cardboard boxes and things like that, not all those are bad people. Not all those did something wrong. Life just took a swoop up over top of them and they were overtaken. All it takes is one bad thing to happen to you to put you right there. Trust me, this I know. All it takes is one bad thing to happen to you to put you right there.
Livelihoods and infrastructure gets washed away. So the climate crisis and the climate emergency is second. And third, and this is the kicker this year, this is what's driven up the numbers so much in this year, the economic shocks, not just of the end of COVID, but more specifically, the Ukraine war driving up food prices, driving up energy prices.
We are currently living in a time Jesus refers to as the birth pains. We are fast approaching a time known as the tribulation, that Jesus says will be the worst time in human history, as we read in Matthew 24:21. For then there will be great tribulation, such as has not been since the beginning of the world until this time, no, nor ever shall be. We are currently witnessing events that will continue to become more frequent and more intense until God pours out his final judgments on an unbelieving and unrepentant world. One of the judgments described in the book of Revelation includes the price of food being so high and scarce that it will cost a full day's wages just to barely get enough to eat, as we read in Revelation 6:5 and 6. When he opened the third seal, I heard the third living creature say, "Come and see." So I looked, and behold, a black horse, and he who sat on it had a pair of scales in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four living creatures saying, "A quart of wheat for a denarius, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, and do not harm the oil and the wine." In this prophecy, it will cost a day's wages just for a loaf of bread. We are not in the tribulation period yet, but we are getting extremely close.
Despite the security cameras, more things were stolen in Hungary's supermarkets this year. Thefts have increased by more than 22%. Hungarian police data shows there were more than 8,000 thefts nationwide in the first 10 months.
See all those security cameras? If you think you're not being surveilled in everything that you do for the soon-to-be police state, you are mental. They're going to watch everything you do. And if you go against their agenda, you're going to be punished. They're going to lock you out of your bank accounts and stuff, just like Trudeau did those up there in Canada when they went against what? The bid restrictions and stuff. When they went against that, the mandates for the bid, they had their bank accounts restricted. Y'all need to take note what's going on in this world and stop sitting there sleeping and thinking, oh, everything's fine, everything's still normal, everything's still going as it always has. No, it's not. No, it's not. And if you're believing that and you don't see the things that's happening in this world, then God is allowing you to believe a strong delusion for a reason. You're hellbound. That is not a hotspot vacation spot. It's a hot spot, but it's not a vacation spot. Just got to notice a 6.3 earthquake has hit somewhere. I have to find out where that is at and talk about it later. Anyway, there's a lot of those going on anyway. Volcanic eruptions. There's earthquakes and stuff daily somewhere, even if they're not massive. The fact that there is an earthquake shows that there's something going on in the earth, which means either there is a volcanic eruption coming or something. There's some kind of something getting ready to happen in the area. These things are going to start happening all over the globe. Hello, fervent heat. Stop thinking it can't happen where you are. It absolutely can.
Of this year, mainly from large supermarkets and tobacco stores. Electronics and expensive drinks used to be the main attraction for thieves, but now it's salami and cheese. Rising prices has meant the cost of meat has gone up by 40% and dairy 75%. One of the sellers told us previously higher valued products were stolen, but now people steal an apple or a potato. Budapest was hardest hit with more produce stolen. The spokesperson for Hungary's largest supermarket chain, CBA, in the capital.
People are stealing food. Food. Not big high dollar things that they could sell and get money out of. Potatoes and apples. They're not stealing because they're trying to just gain something. They're stealing because they're hungry. And yet, in the Garden of Eden, when God provided the food, it was all for free and all given. When y'all going to get that through your mind?
Says it's not just the amount that's disappearing that's the worry. The way the thefts are carried out have changed too. They've become more aggressive. It's becoming more common for the perpetrator to pull a knife and start fighting with security staff. The larger chains have reacted quickly to the negative trend. They've improved their camera systems, hired guards, and put alarms on more products.
That's because people are hungry. So they don't care what you're doing when their families are hungry and whatnot. They just want to feed their family. They just want to this breaks my heart. It just, you want to say this famine is non-existent. People are stealing that never stole before. But to you, the famine doesn't exist. You're not God. You don't see it. He sees everything. He knows everything. And he knows what people are doing, why they're doing it. Y'all think he don't. He tries the heart. He knows if he's inside your heart. He knows if you're making excuses so you can continue to live in your sin. I did that for a time. And then I realized, no, because he woke me up and he gave me a choice. You're not choosing each day to serve him. You think you are. But if you were really serving him, you would serve him every minute of every day. Not just when it suits you. Not just when it's convenient for you. Not if you really love him. If you love him, you love him. And you do as he asks you to do. If you love him, you obey him. You seek him. You ask him what he wants. You say, Lord, how can I please you instead of myself? I cry, Abba, Father, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive our trespasses as we forgive those that trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the power. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. In Jesus' mighty name. Amen. Maranatha. I'll see you in the next part.